everybody, it's Jen from Caketastic Cakes, and I'm going to show you how I put this Sonic the Hedgehog cake together. And it might seem like a lot, but it was actually pretty easy, and I'm sure you can do it, so let's follow along. All I did for this cake was make a cake and then make some templates and cut and trace. So if you can do that, you can do this cake. I found a picture of Tails, and I just cut out his head. I just liked how his face looked with this one. And if you want to use this one, you could pause the video when my hands aren't in the way to take a screenshot if you want. Otherwise, just find a picture that you like. Now that I've got the face cut out, I'm going to make sure my edges are smooth enough, and I stuck it on a paper towel. You can see it up at the top of the screen there. This is some more orange gum paste, just rolled out the same thickness as before, and I'm going to freehand a couple of tails on it. I want his tails to stick up behind his head and really be noticeable, so that's why I put the paper face back on my gum paste, in order to kind of map out the size of the tails, and I just kind of freestyle a little roughness to the ends of it, like flames or something, because his tails have a lot of little spikes of fur coming out. So I move the head once I have the size that I like, bring it down to the bottom, make a nice flat bottom of the tails, because that's where it'll sit against the cake, so you want it nice and supported, and then just like before, put them on the paper towels. Now I'm going to do the same exact thing with Sonic the Hedgehog. I found a picture of Sonic that I liked. I rolled out blue gum paste, and I'm using gum paste with this. You could probably use fondant since it's going on the side of the cake. I chose to use gum paste because it's a little stiffer. It's not going to sag as much, especially with the thinner parts like his hand, his arm and his hand that come out to the side there. They might just have a little bit of weight. I like working with gum paste with decorations is really what it comes down to. I'm a fan. I would just wish gum paste would support me or sponsor me. But unfortunately, no. I'm just a fan. So once again, I've got my blue hedgehog there outlined on a paper towel, putting it aside, and now I'm going to decorate him. He's had a little time to set up, only a little bit, because I don't want him too stiff. But if you know any of my other videos, you know when I use these paper templates that I cut them up into pieces. So I cut out his eyes. I'm going to take a little bit of white gum paste. I'm going to use the eyes that I cut out in order to trace the size of the eyes. And then I put the top of his head, his spikes, back on the blue mold in order to have the proper location for the eyes. So it's always a good idea to not like shred your template if you're going to cut it up, but cut it up into sections so that way you can still piece it back together like a puzzle and everything sits in the right spot. I used white gum paste again to cut out his one hand. I'm putting it there but next to his eyes. His glove also has like the thick cuff, I guess you could say, that's kind of slouched on his wrist, so that's there. I put some extra blue on his ear, that's above his eyes and his hand there, and a little bit of beige color to fill the inside of his ear. And then I'm also going to do the mouth in the same beige color. And once again, I just cut it out. I cut out the template, the mouth shape. I rolled it out thin. Same thing with his belly there. Same thing with his arm. I just cut it out, roll out my gum paste, and trace it, and then put it into place. I'm putting his white cuff on, and now his other glove. It's kind of in a fist. So all I did was make a couple indentations with the back of my knife in order to make his fingers look like they're bent over, but that was it. Alright, just like before with the red, I'm going to do his shoes. Cut out the shoes, trace it out on some red gum paste. I use a little bit of water with a paintbrush to paint the back of it and stick it on, and that way it all sticks together. I added the white stripes on his shoes, and you can't really see the buckles, so I didn't worry about that. I added his slouchy socks, going back to the 80s there. You can tell he was a good 80s character. His little black nose, I'm giving him his green eyes. It's kind of hard to see because it's far away. But his eyes are oval shaped with a little black dot of gum paste in the center for the pupil and a little bit for his mouth. I just rolled it between my hand and stuck it in place. I have a blue food coloring marker. This is edible. It's just using food color to draw on the lines to help separate his body, and you'll see here, pretty good, right? It looks like Sonic, not bad. I was actually very happy with it. Now I'm going to do the same thing with Tails. I'm going to go back, I'm going to cut him up. He is a lot more basic. He's just like a lot of white and a little bit of blue, I think was his eye color. So I'm going to trace out his mouth and his, I guess, muzzle and cheek fur and put that in place. It's going to overhang on the sides a little bit where the orange isn't there. That's fine, not worried about it. This is just some scraggly lines on a smooth top. And the smooth top is going to go over the rough edge of the orange tail. And the scraggly lines are going to be on the base of the tail. I'm not explaining this clearly, but you can see what I'm doing in the video there. I'm basically covering the end of his tails with white gum paste, and I'm trying to make it look like the fur on the tail is a little rough and raggedy. So all I did was make some little triangles, different sizes, left the top smooth, and then I trim off the excess, and I just press it down between the orange spikes at the top and around the edge so it wraps around, trim off any of the extra, just like that, so it's not hard to do. And again, I'm just using a little bit of water on a paintbrush to make it all stick, and then I'm going to stick it back onto the paper towels once again. Now the tails I'm not going to do anything else with until I'm ready to add the lollipop sticks, so I'm going back to the eyes. He has, I thought they were his eyes, honestly, but I guess they're white eye patches. I'm not really sure, or maybe it's just the cartoon style. But I outlined the eyes, I cut them out of his face, and I, again, got some white gum paste, traced him out, traced out the inside of his ears, just like so. And you're going to see, too, that I end up taking the white part off because I didn't follow the shape of his head. You can see the ears are a little bit too hot, like the white part doesn't come down enough and follow the shape of his head as it goes down to the cheek. So you're going to see it disappear and then reappear. This is orange gum paste that I'm rolling between my hands to make kind of like little sausages, skinny little sausages out of to represent his spikes of hair. And I had made 3 of them, readjusted them, put them into place. I added a little black nose. His nose is kind of triangular and has a little white dot on it. I got it right. His eyes were blue. I made this cake a little while ago, so I wasn't too sure. But yes, his one eye is blue. Again, very oval in shape. Add a black pupil. Again, very oval in shape. I've got a little highlight in his eyes. I got a little highlight on his nose. He's got a little black happy mouth. And his other eye, I have it winking, so it's just like a V or a check mark or something like that. There he is, all winky. And here I am ripping the ears off and making the sides come down a little lower. And it ended up looking better this way. There was just something off about it that I couldn't figure out. So yeah, once I fixed the ears, I thought he looked better. Now, as far as the leaves go that surround Sonic and kind of frame him out, if you've played Sonic the Hedgehog at all, you'll be very familiar with the greens and the plants and all the jungly looking worlds that he runs through. So I just have 2 different colors of gum paste. I have a light green and a dark green. I used Wilton gel food coloring because I've been asked about the colors I use. One is, what was it, juniper green, and the other one was leaf green. Now I have some circles that I made out of gum paste. I didn't have the footage to show, so I'm sorry about that. But I have circle cutters, and I just made donuts. I just cut out circles. I let this gum paste set completely and harden, so those are actually very firm. And I'm using some gold shimmer, it's edible gold shimmer, and a little bit of water to paint them gold because Sonic, you need to have your gold rings, right? Now I'm using a little bit of water mixed with the gold shimmer to apply it. I know some people will use alcohol. I just use water, and it works, so put them aside. Now, as far as the cake goes, this was kind of a biggin, but that's okay. And you have it crumb coated as you see. And now I'm just giving it a layer of buttercream icing. This was just American crusting ice cream, I wish, icing. And it's just a nice light blue color. This was sky blue that I added to my icing at the time I was making it. And ignore that my low battery is there. Yeah, this was from a live stream that I was doing, so it's a little bit rougher. Now I am adding some square tiles around the bottom. I'm making a layer of tiles. Again, if you're familiar with Sonic, you'll know what I'm doing here. One is colored brown, the other is colored copper. And I'm just alternating back and forth. These squares are about a ½ inch in size. I end up going completely around the whole entire cake just to give it a nice base and to help, clean up the bottom edge where it's a little bit messy, where my icing skills don't always shine through. And that's another thing too. If you're familiar with my videos, you'll know that icing things nice and smooth isn't my strongest suit. So yes, there you go, all the way around. Now I'm going to start adding my leaves. I took some of my leaves and I cut them in half. And I'm alternating back and forth between the light green and the dark green. So I'm just going back and forth again to make it look like the video game and to just kind of give it a bottom base look without totally hiding all of the bricks or the blocks that I've made. I go out as far as I want, and then when I feel like it's good, I stick my Sonic right in the middle. So there you go. And that's what that little blue dot of icing was on my cake plate. I was just marking where the center of my cake in the front was going to be. I am going to attach lollipop sticks now on Tails' tails and then his head. They've had plenty of time to set, so what I do is I put a band of soft gum paste down the center. I paint a little bit of water onto it, and then I press a lollipop stick into the back. If your cake is going to be shown from all sides, this won't work, but since mine is only being looked at from the front, it doesn't matter, it's just fine. Now I've got my leaves there that are in the light green and dark green. I had a leaf mold shape and I just used it over and over. That's what you saw me stamping out all those all the leaves. Makes your life a whole lot easier, so I kind of recommend doing it. And I'm just alternating once again, going back and forth. I'm doing a double thick here, leaf border around Sonic, just because I thought it looked nice. Make sure I was not as careful as I should have been here. I should have been more careful with the spacing, the distance between Sonic and those two columns of leaves, because the one side is closer than the other, and it's going to be a problem in a second that you're going to see. But for now, we're going to pretend everything is perfect and just keep going. And as far as I'm keeping on going, I'm going to keep alternating the leaves back and forth. I just stuck that extra one in the center there. It's going to come off later because I end up putting the rings there. But for now, I'm applying Tails' head. There you go. Now you can see it. Again, just sitting on those lollipop sticks. And if you look to the screen to the right, you can see the tails are going in behind him. Just like that. It's got a nice angle, so it sticks out nicely. And now I'm going to fill in the rest of the space with my rings and the rest of the leaves that I have. So I'm, again, just kind of trying to keep it balanced, trying to keep the look going. If you want to fill in more of the cake and not just have the front and the top like I have here, and here's where I meant where the spacing's off, that gold ring is like too close. It's actually on the leaves. But my other rings, I'm standing up, putting them in place. Here's where I take the leaf off to put the gold ring there. And there's my cake. And like I was saying, if you want to fill in more around the cake, you can always add other characters, more gold rings, whatever you need to do. You can do it. So I hope you found this video helpful. Please like and subscribe because it helps me out as well. I've got a ton of other videos out there as well as other Sonic cakes, so take a look. And as always, thank you for watching Caketastic Cakes.